and welcome to Stretford Paddock. It is Tuesday, the 14th of April 2020. We're here this morning at Lockdown HQ with a little iced coffee. Oh, listen to that. Speaking of listen to that, yesterday's microphone issues have caused me to read a disclaimer at the start of today's show, and that is, if my microphone does that thing where it sticks and repeats and repeats and repeats, yes, it makes a lovely dance tune. We already established that yesterday. But do let me know in the comments, and I'll unplug this microphone, change to a different one, because it's been having a few problems with it. But in theory, this is the best quality mic that I have. So that's why I'm trying to use it, because it will sound the best for you. But if it's not working, if it's putting too much strain on things, and it goes for hours on end like it did yesterday, let me know. Also, someone on Twitter said that they sent me a dance remix version of that noise that was repeated yesterday, because I asked people to in the comments. Someone said that they had one. They asked how they could send it me. I said send it to the DMs, because I'm always getting people to slide in my DMs. I do it that way around. And they didn't send it. So if you're watching, whoever that person is who slid into my M's, they weren't direct, they were just messages, slid into my M's yesterday, do send that over, because I would like to see that. But yeah, Eric Sklenar says, don't pretend count wasn't a banging beat. It was a banging beat. And like I said, and to that point, someone has made a song out of it, but I've yet to hear it. And when I do, I'll retweet the hell out of it. So if you are watching, whoever it was who sent me that, do send me that again. But today's first news isn't about microphones, isn't about banging beats. It's about banging centre-backs instead. And it's Dayot Upamecano. We're going to be hearing that word a lot, I think, over the next few months. Maybe even the next few years. A 21-year-old French centre-back, plays for RB Leipzig, and he has been linked, according to Sky Sports, the sort of sporadically and loosely reliable Sky Sports these days. There was a time when Sky Sports were up there with the likes of the BBC and, Associated Press, where if they said it, it was happening. And then it just started, the veneer started to slip a little bit. A few years ago, United were supposedly agreed to sign Gundogan, didn't happen. And then there's a series of a catalogue of errors by them, certain reporters seeming to sort of lose some of their sources or reporting on things that weren't quite true. And now they've slipped to the point where they're not quite as reliable as they once were. But again, it's one of those things where a big publication and a big corporation like Sky have plenty of good sources. So it's not the case that everything they say is wrong. It's just that everything they say isn't right like it used to be. But they still get. They never miss a transfer, as in, oh, that happened and Sky Sports never reported on it. They always know what's going on, but sometimes they don't know what's going on and still report it, if that makes any sense. They hoover more than they need to, I think. They put out more than they need to. But we'll go along with it because it does seem to fall in line with a series of transfer rumours and a series of rumours that we've seen generally. Delict is one of them, Koulibaly is one of them, and now Upamecano is another one on that list of centre-backs that United are supposedly after. And it seems as though that sort of defence generally, look towards the last few games we've played this season, we've got a rejuvenated Luke Shaw at left-back and Brandon Williams either covering at left-back or coming in that left wing-back spot when we're playing five at the back. Look, both of them, again, Luke Shaw looking as good as he's looked in years, and Brandon Williams consistently excellent, a couple of mistakes here and there, but such a bright, promising talent. Then you've got Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire, who have played pretty much every game together this season. Lindelof improving massively, Maguire stepping up, assured captain quality centre-back in there alongside. And then we've got Axel Tuanzebe underneath that. We've got Eric Bailly as well. Then you've got Phil Jones as well covering up. We've got Chris Smalling if you need someone extra who's currently out on loan. So even Marcus Rojo, who's gone on loan now, but is still part of the club if we need him. And then at right back, obviously we've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who doesn't ever seem to get injured and he's absolutely brilliant. And then covering that, we've got Ethan Laird, and even Brandon Williams can do a job on that side. So it seems as though the defence was relatively sure. But as Alex G is saying in the comments there, Rojo, Smalling are leaving. There's a potential that Phil Jones will leave as well. He's been rumoured to be leaving for about 4 years now. So there is a chance that we're going to need reinforcements there. I mean, even if you just think about Rojo and Smalling, who I think almost certainly will both leave, surely we need someone extra because we're not replacing them with anyone otherwise. And there's Ted and Mengi, who I think is 18 in the under 21s at the moment, who looks like a very promising, bright talent. But I doubt that we're going to be bringing him through for first team football anytime soon, just because of his age and how centre backs need to be at least in your sort of early to mid 20s before they tend to come through. Very rare you see an 18-year-old. Varane is one I can think of off the top of my head where 18, 19, 20-year-old defenders come through and been top quality, but it's very rare. It's very unusual, especially in the Premier League, for a sort of a centre back in their teenage years to come through and play regularly for a top side. So, by the power of deduction, United need 6 centre backs or 5 centre backs, and we've currently only got 4 or 5. And I think there is a chance that we could be after someone else. De Ligt seems to be someone that is consistent on the radar, and Upamecano. Again, let's get a little bit into this article then at Sky Sports. Upamecano is about to enter his final year of his RB Leipzig contract and has a release clause of 52 million. Now, you would think, personally, that even though 52 million isn't a staggeringly high fee, similar to what we paid for Wan-Bissaka, you would think that a 21-year-old who is looks like one of the best up-and-coming defenders in Europe, as Sky are saying there. But you'd think, last year of his contract, he would probably go for less than 50 million. I think 52 million for someone who's only got 1 year left on the contract, for a lad who admittedly is a promising talent, but is 21 years old. You can only really have done so much by 21. The idea that he would certainly be worth 50 million seems even a lot to me, but I think it's not such a high amount that you would be stunned or disappointed that United have paid that for a top centre-back or an up-and-coming top centre-back. The 21-year-old France international, like I said, has emerged as one of the best up-and-coming defenders in Europe and is said to be on the list of both Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Pep Guardiola. City, in fact, are hoping to sign 2 new centre-backs when the transfer window opens, having conceded more goals, 31, so far this season than the previous 2 campaigns, 23, 27, and 10 more than league leaders Liverpool. The rivals United, meanwhile, will want to bring in another centre-back, with Chris Smalling and Phil Jones' future uncertain, and they have been repeatedly linked with Napoli's Kalidou Koulibaly. Arsenal have also been linked with Upamecano in the past. Anyway, according to Sky Germany, the impressive youngster is also being discussed at a host of top clubs, love that, in Europe, including Bayern Munich and the major clubs in Spain. We don't even need to list them. The major clubs. Hello, this is Angelos Toribio. I represent the major clubs in Spain. The major clubs. We'd like you to sign for the major club in Spain. It's a deal. What does that mean, the major clubs? Is that Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico? They're sort of a major club. Sevilla? They won 3 European trophies about 4 years ago. They're probably a major club. Valencia, they've been around a long time. They're probably a major club, aren't they? There's like 7 major clubs. What does that mean? Very nondescript. Very. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that terminology there. But anyway, we get the point. So it seems as though a lot of people are after him. And again, we're going to hear all these people. A lot of United fans will go, well, why would he join us then? Well, because we offer the most money, don't we? And there are downsides to all of those clubs that we've just mentioned there. Barcelona's transfer market sort of record in the last few years has been woeful. Wasting money left, right and centre on players. Coutinho, Dembele, whilst it's a shame to say that he's been money wasted, he's a £100 million player who's injured all the time. Griezmann, who struggled to fit into that system. And I just think that they're not a dead cert when you go to Barcelona. Real Madrid, again, seem to be a bit of a fallen giant. I know they're doing a bit better this season. And it's just a strange thing when a team that's only won 2 La Ligas in the last 10 years has also won 4 Champions Leagues in that time. So it seems harsh to say that Real Madrid aren't the team they once were. Domestically, certainly they aren't. But again, if you're winning 4 Champions Leagues, that's pretty good. Bayern Munich, again, same thing. Don't quite look like threatening on the European stage the way they once did. So there's a lot of teams that, aren't necessarily the prospect they would have been 10 years ago. And United are, again, a perfect example of that. Maybe fallen slightly further than any of the other teams I've mentioned there. But I don't think it's definitely a certainty that, these players would choose anywhere other than United, just out of hand. Please do a sketch show with Angelos Toribio. Angelos Toribio is a nondescript Spanish executive at the major clubs in Spain, and he may well be coming back at another time. Someone says, good morning, Jesus. Good morning, assuming that's me. Ole seems to be only targeting players who will potentially be at the club for many years. That is something that, yeah, we've definitely seen from Solskjaer. Very few, I think, who's the oldest signing he's made so far? Is it Harry Maguire, 26 at the point of signing him? I suppose Igalo as well, but that's been a loan signing, slightly different, a different dynamic to that signing. But yeah, the trend does seem to be get younger players in, 22, 23, and let's have them here for 10 years rather than, or let's have a player that if they're good enough, they can be here for 10 years rather than, you know, we saw under Mourinho, the likes of, or Mourinho and Van Gaal, the likes of Schweinsteiger and Ibrahimovic and, you know, a lot of players who were coming in toward the sort of middle to end of their career rather than the start to middle of the career like we're seeing now. Di Maria is another one. I think he was he 27 when he joined? I know it's not that old, but, you know what I mean, it's not 21, 22, is it? Kamutra says, Joe, you on the iced coffee? What's your brew method of choice? Yeah, I've got bored. So I decided to do a cold brew, which is very pretentious. I appreciate that. But you just, I mean, it sounds hipster and weird, but really you just leave it in a jar or like in a cup overnight, and then you just drink it cold. So it's less work than you would think, but yeah, a bit hipster. It's nice though. Anyway, do a video with Stephen Tries. All right, yeah. Do you know him? Neither do I. Actually, maybe I could get hold of him, but probably not at this point. This tricky and troubling time, as everyone's calling it. Let me know what you think of Upamecano anyway. 50 million quid, is that too much for a 21-year-old who doesn't have too much experience? He's obviously very highly rated, but he's never won much. He's not someone who's, you know, a top centre-back in Europe in terms of experience, but maybe he is in terms of potential, and that seems to be enough these days, and certainly where United are at the moment, someone of that calibre coming in. How would that affect the likes of Axel Tuanzebe as well, because he's another one who's a similar age to Upamecano, and we don't really want him to be, you know, losing out necessarily, but there were reports in that article that I didn't get to where there was maybe some slight concerns over the injury record of Axel Tuanzebe, and that is something that was concerning the club staff, and one of the reasons why they're looking at getting some reinforcements potentially in that regard. Joshua Mercer says, I don't think we'll sign a new centre-back to partner Maguire because Lindelof, Bailly and even Tuanzebe are all top quality, and I don't think Lindelof or Bailly want to be second or third choice. They'll just move. Maybe. I think Bailly is Lindelof is one thing. I agree with you on that. Tuanzebe, you know, I really like Axel Tuanzebe. Everything I've seen of him looks excellent. His injury record has been a problem. And the same with Eric Bailly. I don't think Eric Bailly is in a position, you know, the amount of times he's been injured, the amount of games he's missed in the last couple of years, he's in no real position to go to the management or to the coaches or to the board and say, I'm not getting played, I want to leave. It's like, well, we would have loved to have played you, but you've been injured for 50 games in the last 3 years. So that's, you know, he's in a position there where I don't think he can necessarily come to anyone and say, why aren't you playing me? I think if we can have reliable people there, hopefully Eric Bailly's injuries will be a thing of the past, and he looks, you know, is maybe a sustained injury-free spell, and hopefully this time off will help him really get over any sort of longer-lasting injuries that he's had, or maybe little niggles that he picked up coming back from his last injury. But again, he's in a position where I don't think he can necessarily be too critical if the club do decide to get some extra reinforcements when he's not been available for a lot of games over the last couple of years. Anish Joshi saying Bayern can target Upamecano, just have a feeling. Yeah, I agree. Anish Joshi Kamucho in the comments saying there's a few others, Paigey as well, and Eric, all members. You can see the little membership logo next to their name. They get access to different emojis in the chat. They get access to members only chat, which we'll be doing for watch-alongs and podcasts and stuff like that. If you want to become a member, you also get extra videos, which the first video is going to be coming out this week, and we're going to be putting all our extra content out, and we're going to be sending out our loot boxes as well in the next couple of weeks. They just take a bit more time because obviously getting stuff sent is more difficult. But if you want to become a member, help the channel out and get loads of extra content, videos, loads of fun stuff, click the little join button next to the subscribe button. Have a look at the video on there. It tells you everything that you can get, all the extra stuff, all the ways you can help out. Click join up, and you'd be very much appreciated, and you get part of the membership squad here at Stretford Paddock. Eric, again, one of the members saying, unfortunately, Bayer can't play more than 5 games before getting injured. Top player when healthy. He is a top player when healthy. We saw that against Chelsea, that little Cruyff turn he did in the box. Sensational. Right, next story then. Our second story today. And this is, I put it as the second story because it's not a major update, but what it is a further sort of cementing, a further, it's kind of a, Jadon Sancho is, this transfer is, do you know when like, astronomers look into space, I almost said astrologers then, astronomers look into space and they see something and they go, hang on a sec, we don't know what that is, but we see the way that light and the way that planets interact with that thing. So that's how like black holes, I think, were discovered, where what you don't see the black hole, you see the way light reacts around this thing. And that's almost what the Jadon Sancho transfer is. We don't know that this transfer is happening, but what we're seeing is these pieces are all acting differently because there's a certain gravity to this situation. So it's like, oh, Jadon Sancho likes Manchester, and that's curving into the black hole. And you've got Dortmund are willing to sell Sancho, and that's curving into the black hole. And you've got all these former players and Rashford coming out and saying he'd love to work more with Sancho, and this curving into the black hole. And then all of a sudden, what you're left with is all of the evidence that is leading to the conclusion to be made. Jadon Sancho might be signed for Man United. One of the most long-winded, but maybe best analogies I've done in a while, that one. Because, you know, that's the thing. This deal isn't done until it's done, but we are seeing evidence that something is being done, and the only conclusion that makes any sense is that Jadon Sancho may well be joining Man United. This is from Sport 1 in Germany then, and they are saying, tier 2 on Reddit, so fairly reliable. Jadon Sancho could leave Dortmund in the summer. Big names are traded as successors, which I think that means the people who may be brought in to replace him. But the Dortmunders have also have their own talents behind them. So again, if they don't want to buy anyone else in, they've got other players who could come through their ranks. The early departure of Jadon Sancho from Dortmund is becoming increasingly apparent. Josh McCosh says, well, you can't see a black hole, you can just see the light around it, and the lack of light with the black hole. Exactly my point, mate. Exactly my point. Cam Waters says, you're so smart, Joe, I envy your knowledge. Thanks, Cam. Right, but, so this is, like I said, Sport 1 in Germany. Again, they are adding to this sort of light that is twisting around this black hole that are saying the early departure of Jadon Sancho is becoming increasingly apparent. These are a publication in Germany that is, you know, relatively reliable. Like I said, they seem to have inside sources, certainly some of the clubs in Germany. And again, it just seems as though every journalist who is questioned on this or who has been proven to have sources down the years is seemingly increasingly confident that Jadon Sancho will leave Dortmund. I think that is one of the sort of elements of this transfer that, you know, is almost certain at this point. Dortmund are willing to sell Jadon Sancho. United want Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho seemingly is interested in Man United. So again, it's not the biggest updated news, but what it is it's a German source this time declaring that willingness and that happiness to sell Sancho. So I think it is good news. It's exciting news. It remains to be seen where it leads to during the summer. When the summer comes, will that be in July? Will that be in August? Will it be, starting later than that even? Because there were reports yesterday that certain experts are saying that the likes of music festivals and that kind of thing may not be back till August or September 2021. So over a year away before we can be looking at getting in those sorts of crowds. And you would assume a football match which has a similar sort of attendance to a lot of festivals may well be on that kind of timeline as well. So I'm sure we'll be seeing games played behind closed doors before then. But there is a chance that things are on a lot longer timeline than we are currently hoping for. So that remains to be seen. But again, like I said, it does seem as though the willingness is there from Sancho, the willingness is there from Dortmund for this deal to get done. But that is going to be all for me this morning. Elvis, great name. Elvis Matthias, fantastic name, if that is your real name. He wants to get back to England too, yeah, supposedly. Kamucha says, you don't get this level of analysis from other United channels. PhD Dr. Joe making the rest of these fools look like they're doing their GCSEs. Thank you very much. Right, that's going to be all from me this morning. We'll be back this afternoon for a podcast, so that should be very good. Make sure you tune in for that. Thank you very much for joining me. Hope you all have a lovely Tuesday. Very sunny here in Manchester. Hopefully it's sunny where you are as well. Get out, enjoy the sun. 3 minutes outside, come back in, sit back down. Have a good day. We'll see you in a bit.